So as I said in my last video, I wanted to talk about, today how, for the first time, I really made a milestone sort of achievement regarding challenging myself with my social anxiety disorder and not backing away from it. And for everyone else who doesn't have social anxiety disorder, and even some people who do have it, who have different symptoms and different things they're afraid of, it will sound kind of like nothing, because social anxiety disorder is very debilitating in the way that just it affects the smallest things, just such simple, ridiculous things become stressful events and fears and awkwardness. And like for an example, just I'm trying to think of a good comparison for people so they can better understand what it is like. And I think, like, I would hesitate to say that things are like giving a speech, because there's nothing as scary to anyone as giving a speech for most of the time. I know very few people who aren't afraid of giving speeches. And it would not be true to say that it always feels that way, because it's that kind of anxiety is very, very, like, for that short period of time in a very, like, scary situation. And so I can't say that, and that's not really the issue, because the discomfort is prolonged all day in such a way that it's horribly uncomfortable, even if it's not extreme. So, I don't know, just imagine yourself tripping and falling on your face, like rolling down a hill, and then at like 30% people were watching you. Now imagine that. That's not what I'm talking about yet though. So you imagine that. Now imagine you get up and you have to walk back up the hill past all of those people. That feeling, that embarrassed feeling, that like, oh my god, those people just saw me like completely F up basically. That feeling is what it feels like 90% of the time, just, being around anyone. And yeah, well, yeah, so like just little things will set off that horrible feeling. There will be a very vague, annoying sense of that embarrassed feeling constantly around people, but particularly if something goes even slightly amiss, that feeling of I just rolled down a hill in front of people and I have to walk past them again, that feeling is there. When things are going well, it feels like you can feel everyone around you, and just you care what everyone is doing and thinking about you all at the same time. Like, it doesn't matter how far away they are, if they are within your range, you feel like there's a chance they could see you, so I have to be nervous about what I'm doing. So it's really a huge pain in the ass. And so the problem is, it's that constantly, first of all, horrible discomfort, and then to do anything even beyond the very basic of just being around people, to do something that would draw any attention to yourself makes it like that embarrassing moment. So imagine feeling like that every time you do some simple task that involves something that's new or you don't know how to do it. Imagine feeling that embarrassed all the time when you do those things, like feeling that weird reaction of you just did something really embarrassing, even though you shouldn't. I mean, that's the feeling, so it's like, ugh. So as I said, it might seem small to people, but when you think about how it feels, it's really a lot more to me. So, I had the perfect chance to basically challenge myself, because I'm not just going to go out and do something random. Like, I'm not going to go outside and be like, hey, I'm going to do things to embarrass myself, or I'm going to do things I hate, I'm going to do things that are actually kind of like important to me, because if they're not important at all, then I won't have any motivation to survive them. So they're things like I kind of need to do or want to do. So what happened is, well, there's fortunate things and all misfortune, I suppose, when you're in the right place in the right time. Because what happened was we went to the grocery store, we bought 2 big packets of meat. That was like $30, and the next day we were making dinner, we opened the chicken and it was bad, and we were like, oh my god, what a horrible waste of money. So I was like, crap, you know, because I'm not rich or anything, so I was like, what are we gonna do, you know? We had to order pizza, which is more of a waste of money, and so I was really disappointed, and I was like, okay, I wonder if you can return food, you know, because I have this impression that maybe, like, they're like, oh, you know, if it seems like it was their fault, they would maybe take it back. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I can try to find out, you know. I was kind of like, but, because I hate phone calls and I hate doing those things, as you would know. So first that happened, and I was thinking about that. So a day passes, and yesterday I went, which feels like it was still today, but it was, you know, it just happened that I challenged myself. Yesterday, well, day before yesterday in the evening, I was thinking about it, and then I was like researching some shoes I wanted to buy for like a year now, those funky toe shoes, because I've been researching them a long time and saving up money, and I got graduation money, so I was like, oh my god, I want to buy them. So I was like procrastinating getting them because I didn't know where they were, but I kind of knew where they could be, and I don't like going new places by myself or even with my husband, I don't like going. So I tend to rely on like my family sometimes, or my parents, because they have a car and I don't, obviously. So I kind of use them as a crutch for my anxiety sometimes because I feel more comfortable because they know what they're doing. Excuse me. They can take me somewhere and I won't have anxiety because if I get stuck in some awkward situation, you know, I can ask them what I'm supposed to be doing and then I'd feel comfortable again. But doing something alone is a lot harder. So, but I had been procrastinating that, and my family is gone for a little while, so I was like, you know, not buying them because I didn't want to go by myself. So, I was thinking all night, and I was like really wanting to buy those shoes because I've been waiting for like a year, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you know, I gotta do it, you know. And I was thinking, I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm gonna like make myself uncomfortable. I'm going to like just suffer through it and just do it, just to prove to myself that it's possible at all, to see how I'm doing, if I will die, you know, just what the heck will happen. And because I never have done it, but it was important enough to me because I didn't want to waste all that money on the chicken, and I really wanted to get those shoes. So I planned the day, and I did it. And on top of that, I wanted to really challenge myself because the thing that makes me most unhappy about life right now is I'm not being myself. So I decided, okay, I'm going to be myself also on top of all that, and I'm going to basically not be ashamed to be myself and just be exactly how I want to be and do those things as if I'm just living my life being myself, you know, just imagining in the future the day without anxiety where I can just do what I want and live my life and it doesn't matter what people think. So I tried to emulate that. What would I want to be? What would I want to look like? What do I want to wear that's cool and freaky and fun and that I love? So I put on a really fancy, blousey, beautiful shirt, and I put on a tight-fitting, pretty black skirt, and I wore heels. I painted my nails bright pink, as you can see, and I put on, you can see sparkles still, gold sparkly eyeshadow. I put on some pretty gold lipsticky kind of thing. My big funny sunglasses, well, not funny, but you know, just kind of celebrity sunglass style. So I put that on and I did that, and I put on like 2 mismatched earrings that I really like that I only have one of each of. I put on a pretty necklace I like that goes with it. And as I think I said, put on heels for the first time in like 4 months because I don't like being uncomfortable in shoes, but they're not too bad. So I did that, and I'm like, you know, that's another thing I have problems with. I don't like putting attention to myself because if I put attention to myself, you know, as a lady, you have to deal with bullshit of people will feel the need to comment on your looks if you look good or if you look bad sometimes, unfortunately. And, you know, it's unwelcome disgusting bullshit, even if it's just something small. Compliments are fantastic because it can brighten your day, but there's a huge difference in a vibe that you get when people do certain things, like yelling out a car window at you, or, you know, saying something almost just ugh, you know, and it disgusts me and it makes me uncomfortable. So, you know, that's another reason it's hard to go outside looking good, in my opinion, or dressing up, beyond just bringing the attention from being dressed up in a funny way. To be in a pretty way is especially difficult because, well, let me say this, most men are idiots in the way that they treat women, in the way that they see it fit in our culture. And it's not necessarily their fault, it's the way they're raised, it's the culture, so, oh, women like being complimented about their boobs and stuff, you know, it's just that kind of shit. And people don't really think much of it, but it's a huge issue, but that's another bone for me to pick later. But, so I did it, and I was like, you know, I want to enjoy myself, I want to not feel ashamed to do what I want to do, to wear things I like, and just be pretty or not pretty or just funny or crazy looking. So I did it, I dressed up, and I went out, and I went to the grocery store, and I was horribly nervous because I didn't want to have to wait in line to do a return because it felt like wrong, because it's like I don't know where they want me to return it at, and it felt weird, kind of like I'm hogging up the line to do a return, even though I don't know if they're actually going to take it, you know. And I was nervous carrying around a bag because I thought they'd think I'd shoplifted, you know. Just, you know, paranoid thoughts. Not paranoid necessarily, but just anxiety thoughts. So it was easy, and I was so relieved, and they took it, they asked me, oh, did you put it in the fridge, blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, yeah, well, I said yes, and I said, but it did mold anyway, blah blah blah, and they didn't give me any trouble at all, and it was easy, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, you know, I survived. So I was still kind of jittery, just because it feels weird to be in a grocery store in fancy-ass clothes. And and then I took a bus. My next thing was to go buy the shoes. So taking a bus to somewhere I've never been, by myself without my husband, because I almost never go out without him. And on a bus ride I've, never really been on, and to a place I've been to before, but I don't remember how to get to. So I had looked up how to get there and tried not to anxietize about it, and took the bus, and I managed to get off the right stop. Felt really kind of weird going into a giant REI sports store to try on shoes while I'm wearing fancy clothes, you know, because everyone's dressed all outdoorsy there, so it was rather humorous. So that was really challenging, but I went in, it was kind of busy, so it was a huge pain in the ass to flag someone down to help me, and that gave me some anxiety too. But I tried on the shoes, and I tried not to feel guilty about having to try on multiple pairs, you know, because that's another issue. And I bought them and liked them, and well, these funny things, yeah, those things. I guess in my memory now they'll be a symbol of, well, they're funny looking shoes anyway, so me wearing them at all is a test of anxiety to begin with. But in a way they'll be a symbol of me getting over it, and me today, I survived it. I made it home, and by the time it was all over, you know, I was very nervous about everything, and it kind of gave me a good amount of anxiety doing it. But then afterwards, I was like, okay, breathing, you know, and I'm walking home, and I don't feel quite as weird wearing the clothes, and just, I feel more comfortable, and just a little bit, you know, and I feel so happy about that. And so, I mean, I'm proud of myself in a way. I know it's such a small feat, but to me, I've never done anything like that. Oh, and even before, I called the store, which is hard for me to do phone calls. I called the store to ask if they had it and stuff, and that gave me a lot of anxiety too. So I really completed a lot in one day. And so it's amazing when you think about it. So I encourage anyone else to do their best to try, because if I can do it, I'm sure someone else can. So that's my little progress story. I might have more to say later in another video, we'll see.